Right. Well, joining me to discuss whether this action plan is actually going to work on the ground or not, Sunita Narayan joins us from Delhi. Mihir Shah, former member of the Planning Commission, and of course Nalin Kohli back with us today. Sunita, we'll give you the first word. It is World Environment Day. The Prime Minister has talked about an ambitious plan to clean up the river. He's appointed Uma Bharti, the Water Resources Minister, to head the Ganga mission. What are your hopes right off the bat?
Well, Maya, firstly, we're very happy that the Prime Minister and the government is giving focus to Ganga. I think it's a very important for us. Every river is Ganga, but if we can succeed in Ganga, we can also learn how we can clean up other rivers of the country. Our only concern is, and that is what we have put forward in a clear agenda and also solutions, is that a lot of money and a lot of time has been spent on cleaning the Ganga, but it has not worked. And it has not worked because we have focused on a strategy which has worked in other parts of the world by building a sewage treatment plant. But in a country like India, where we are poor, where cities do not have underground sewerage, we need an innovative strategy. We need a strategy where there is water in the river for dilution. We need a strategy where we actually reuse and recycle every drop of the treated effluent. So for us, the question is wonderful that there is focus. Very important that we have a minister like Mrs. Bharti who has made Ganga her mission. Now we want the government to deliver on it.
Right. Okay. Nalin Kohli, very clear demands from the environment based on this.
And we are talking of environment, and Sunita ji is right about the concerns. I mean, the same kind of expectations are on price rise, corruption, and a lot. So a lot of expectations, and we acknowledge that. And we certainly have to, the idea is to deliver, and that's why Prime Minister Modi from day one has been saying, getting down to work, he's hit the ground running. Yeah. And with regard to the Ganga, and this is personal, I can't say it's part of the party or the government, but when I was in Varanasi for a period of time during the elections, and I met with a lot of people, and a lot of things are also that there's been no build-up in terms of how you treat with sewage. As the Mahant of the Sankat Mochan temple put it, that the main line of the sewage is still what the British built for 250,000 people, while the population is over 3 million today. And even today, a lot of it goes there. And yes, the Ganga, despite the interventions, it needs to be looked at very seriously, because A, it's not just another river. There's a lot of civilizational heritage associated, a lot of emotion with it. And B, it covers a huge part of India too. Right. Really touching, it's one of the largest rivers, 25% of the landmass in that sense.
And it's very polluted all the way downstream.
Yes, so when we start looking at that in a focus, I do agree with Sunita ji that, this could also help open up and look beyond and look at every river, because this is the Yamuna could be the same story.
Well, there is also a demand for the cleanup of the Yamuna as well. And let's go across to Mihir Shah. Sir, we're talking about a figure of 20,000 crore rupees that has already been spent on several attempts to clean up the Ganga. It's not a small exercise, nor is it a cheap exercise. Do we have the money for this? How is India going to afford this?
Well, let me begin by striking a note of hope. The Honorable Minister for Water Resources was part of a large movement to protect the river Ganga. And the major slogan of this movement was Aviral Nirmal Dhara. Aviral means uninterrupted, Nirmal means clean. What they are demanding is that there should be an uninterrupted, clean flow of water in the river. And what Sunita was just saying, the issue first is of ensuring a minimum ecological flow that the river must have, without which any attempt to clean it would be really an impossibility. And that raises the entire question, which has been very eloquently articulated in the 12th five-year plan document, which was approved by the National Development Council, which includes all the state governments, where it is clearly stated that the Himalayan ecosystem is an extremely eco-fragile ecosystem. And we have to be extremely careful in the kind of development activities that we undertake in this ecosystem.
Right.
The last year's Uttarakhand disaster has alerted us to the dangers of rampant construction in the Himalayas, where there are landslides are common, where glacial lake outburst floods are a common event. So we have to be extremely careful in stopping the flow of this river at different points.
All right.
And we have to do it in a manner which finally does address the questions of
yes,
power
Sunita, we're just coming
and
to you in a
requirements of water use. But it also must ensure that whatever we do in terms of construction, the minimum flow of water must continue to flow through the Ganga.
All right. Sunita Narayan wants to come in, I think, both on what Nalin Kohli was saying and what Mihir Shah is saying. Go ahead, Sunita.
See, Maya, I just want to make the point again that the problem is, and this is where I hope that the new NDA government will not do what the UPA government did. The fact is that when the UPA government agreed that they will look at Ganga afresh, at that stage the UPA government was aware of the fact that we needed a different strategy to clean the river, that what we were doing was not working. But what happened very soon is that the engineers got into the game, and very much like what Mr. Kohli was saying, I do understand that he visited the city very, just during the elections. But the problem is that the engineers will tell the government, we'll build the underground sewerage and then everything will work out. I think it's important for the NDA government to know that if they do not understand the need for a change strategy for cleaning the river, where there is water in the river for dilution, where there is innovative sewage management, where there is recycling and reuse, then it will not succeed.
So, Nalin
and that
Kohli,
is the only question.
Yeah, what she's talking about is not just a simple thing as in sort of cleaning up the sewage system of a place like Banaras, but also looking at these wider issues. This is something that we
Let me
actively...
take a few minutes on this. Let me take a few minutes on it because I did it out of personal interest also being in Varanasi.
Because if you look up towards Kanpur, you look at the tanneries that are putting effluents into the river.
There's a lot of issues there. And I'm sure Sunita ji already has the data in terms of the pollution levels, in terms of how many microorganisms you're looking as per ml of water. I mean, it's hundreds and probably thousands of times over what would be acceptable limits. But here there are 3-4 issues. One is there is still construction going on in the Ganga in terms of the sewage, in terms of building drains across the city. It's part of the new JNURM. But what I think you're looking at is, and broadly, I'll take only less than 2 minutes. When the British built it, they built a main line beyond the Ghats. And this is what I understood from the Sankat Motion Foundation. I also spoke to others, but this is the broad idea. They built it beyond the main Ghats to keep the Ghats protected for a population of 2.5 lakhs. Now, as the population increased, what happened is the main sewage line remained virtually the same and new lineages started coming. What the Ganga Action Plan broadly did was build these large pumping houses to basically put the sewage back into the main sewage line. What she's talking, she's correct when she says the effluent treatment plants that were built, they essentially compounded the problem because what what was coming out of it was actually seeping into the groundwater and making that also unusable. Polluted. So you now have hand pumps which are not usable. What we need to also bear in mind beyond what the announcement that has taken place is that Prime Minister Modi is the representative of Varanasi. The Prime Minister of India is from Varanasi now. And he has consistently, from the day of his nomination till what we see today, consistently the Ganga has come up in multiple points. So therefore that element of hope is also there. Because we need
Mihir Shah pointed that element of hope. Sunita Narayan, do you believe that will make a difference, that you're talking about a Prime Minister who is from that constituency?
No, absolutely, Maya. I mean, I like the focus. I have hope. I think we should all have hope. And I do agree with Nalin that the question is today to find a different approach. The line, one of the solutions that has been suggested is actually to divert the sewage downstream. Let's look for new options.